is Scott App with Abundance Coaching, and welcome to Abundance Coaching TV. I'm excited that you're here today because in our conversation today, we will be discussing the topic, living your God-given potential. What a great title for an episode. Are you living your God-given potential? I just think that's a fantastic question and one that we all should be asking ourselves. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to share a couple tools that I think are really effective in helping us figure out if we are living our God-given potential and then how to live our God-given potential. And we'll have some phenomenal inspirational videos that you will be just blown away by. In addition to that, we'll have a special guest, and his name is David Hyatt. And David is from leadershipfortransformation.com. And he will talk to us about living your God-given potential, about what that means. And I'm excited about asking him some of those questions because I know that he will blow the doors off this conversation and it will be phenomenal. So before I get really deep into that conversation, I want to really just tell you a little bit about why you're here with Abundance Coaching TV. Abundance Coaching TV is a life coaching TV show that makes a difference. And at the heart of this life coaching TV show, I know that it was important for me to listen to God as He spoke to me, because I realized that there's something more for me in my life. And where I was even a year ago or 6 months ago is not where I am today. And part of the reason that is because I listened to that voice inside and I stepped in when it was difficult and risky to step in. And doing something like this TV show it's risky and it takes time and it takes effort, and I need to find new guests, and it's got a ton of rewards on the other side of it. And of course, putting your voice out there, you have a lot of opportunities to be seen, and thousands of people have watched our episodes. And what that does for me is that puts me out there, yes, but it also puts me in a position of definitely being able to take the flak and be able to take whatever comes on these shoulders as a result. And we're looking with Abundance Coaching TV and with Abundance Coaching to reach higher grounds than what we're doing today. And this is just the beginning, because in order to live my God-given potential, I need to do more than what I'm doing today and keep on looking in the future and looking at having vision to go forward. So with that, I want to share the 8 steps to living your God-given potential. And I think that if you really are honest with yourself, these steps are worth noting, they're worth writing down, they're worth keeping in your back pocket and just living with. Because you want to live your God-given potential, don't you? So here they go. The first step to living your God-given potential is live in your sweet spot. Now, what in the world does that mean, live in your sweet spot? Well, I think that living in your sweet spot is really doing exactly what you were designed to do, and that there's a place in your life, like when you're playing baseball or you're playing golf, when you hit the ball at that exact spot, it's just clean and crisp and everything just feels so smooth. We're going to talk a little bit later about what the sweet spot means when I talk to David. But suffice this point and this step to actually mean that you have something inside of you that you were born to do. There's greatness inside of you that God has given you. There's potential inside of you that God has given you. And that you actually have ways to identify when you are living in that potential. And I call that your sweet spot. So when you're living in your potential, you're living in your sweet spot, you will know it. And if you don't know what that is, then explore. Explore what it could be. It's worth it to explore. It's worth it to find out what it is that drives you, motivates you, and what really just gets you going and living in your quote-unquote your why. All right, so the first step is living in your sweet spot. The second step to living your God-given potential is focus on your potential. Focus on it. Have direct attention on what it is. So if we're scattered and we're just doing 1,000 things, it's hard to really focus on our God-given potential. That's obvious. But one thing that you can do in order to focus on that is to write a list of all the things that you like to do and that you do well. And then write why you do them well. And then write a list of all the things that you want to do or that you could do. Now list your hobbies. Now list the things that you want to really aspire towards. And just brainstorm. Just get things on paper. And once you get them out on paper, it's going to help you figure out what you really want to focus on. What's really important to you. So this will really help you identify and start living in your God-given potential. The third step to living in your God-given potential is find out what your strengths are and live in them. A lot of times we know what our weaknesses are, don't we? Our weaknesses are quite glaring at times, and if we look at ourselves, we're our worst critics, aren't we? We can always identify what we're bad at, but what are we good at? And even when we're darn good at something, we can always find somebody that might be better or might have a different twist, or we see them as better than we are. Get that garbage thinking out and replace it with positive abundance thinking, okay? Find out what your strengths are. I have a board right in front of my computer screen that I have a few different things that I think are really important. And on that board, you will see my strengths. My strengths right now are so important to me that I keep them in front of me all the time. I don't necessarily need to know what my weaknesses are unless I want to draw on those weaknesses and build them up. But I know what I'm good at. One of the strengths that I have is I'm an incredible leader. When I get together with teams, I speak it out. I lead people. Not because I'm the person who's in charge of everything, it's because I draw the best out of other people and bring them in, and I'm good at collaborating in a group and synergizing with people and effectively influencing them to get a good job done and working together as a team. It's unique, it's individual, I'm born to do it, I lead. What's one of your strengths? What's one of the things that you know that you are designed to do? Is it helping? Is it in the backgrounds? Is it engineering? Is it drafting? Is it creating? Whatever it is, figure out what your strengths are. There's a lot of different ways that you can find out what your strengths are. You can go to abundancecoaching.ca. I have a couple different things that I can send you on an email if you're interested in going there. You can Google it, figuring out what your strengths are. It's very important to find out what you're good at, focus on those things, and build them up. If you want to live in your God-given potential, the fourth step is setting goals. You need to set goals. You've heard it 1,000 times, set goals. Great. If you don't actually write your goals down, it's not a goal. In my opinion, it's just an idea. And you need to get your idea out on paper. It's just a fact of life. If you don't get your ideas out on paper, they're not going to come true. You're not going to do them. There's going to be something that's greater, bigger, better, whatever it is, that's going to come in your way. And later on, you're going to go back to it and realize that you didn't accomplish anything because you didn't have anything written down. You need to set goals and then take action. So step number 4 is actually setting goals and taking action. Goals and action do relate to results. You need to know what you're setting goals for as well. So there's a whole strategy that goes beyond goal setting, and I talk about commitments as being an umbrella over goal setting, but suffice this to say, as part of this, as part of the step process to live in your God-given potential, you need to have goals and you need to act on those goals. Step number 5 is you need to have vision and you need to visualize. So I break that up in 2 different ways. First of all, you need to have vision. A man without vision shall perish, as the proverb says. You need to have vision to see your life beyond where it is today. You need to have vision to see what you can do, to actually step forward, to see what is not as if it is. And as you focus on the future and what you can have and look down the road, even a day, 2 days, 5 days, 5 years, 10 years, even 20 years down the road in the future, looking at your legacy, looking at what you want to do with your career, with your life, with your family, anything, you have to have vision if you want to live in your God-given potential. Potential is a great word, but vision is a huge part of it. Now, the second part, visualize. So when you visualize, you are setting the stage for greater things to happen. You visualize yourself in the future. It's positive visualizations, positive affirmations. One of the things I learned from Tim McGrath is to do a visualization of being your best self. And as you do this visualization of being your best self, you're seeing yourself in the future, and you're seeing your best self come up to you and see you. And you identify and you witness the best qualities of your best self. You know when you were totally on fire for something. You know when you were totally beaming about something. You know the feelings, you know the emotions, and all those things that went along with that. So if you could live your best self and you could see your best self, you would have a better day. I know that. And you would be living closer to what your God-given potential is. There is seeds of greatness that your God has given you that you need to look at and focus on and also visualize, because you want to have those type of results manifested in your life. The sixth step to living your God-given potential is develop success traits. Success traits are so important. They're so important. They're in fact, they're essential to grow, to succeed, to move forward. So what are success traits? There's lots of them. But one thing that I would do is I would challenge you to look at whatever it is that's in your sweet spot. If it's leading, if it's coaching, if it's in the science industry, education, anything that you're doing, look at the success traits that you need to have to be excellent at that particular thing. And if you don't know what those success traits are, look at others that have gone before you and look at the success traits that they bear, because their fruit will manifest as positive towards whatever it is that you're looking at doing. Okay? So look at developing those success traits. Integrity is one of them. It could be in different fields. A success trait certainly could be adding encouragement or being compassionate. Whatever success traits are the most important in what you're doing, develop them so that you can live your God-given potential. The seventh step to living your God-given potential is efficiency. I really like the definition that I found for efficiency. Essentially, efficiency is the absence of waste. I like that. So when you're efficient in something, you're getting rid of and you're cutting free from all of the wasteful things. And you're only looking at the things that you want that's left. Cool, eh? So if you're looking at living your God-given potential, just get rid of the waste. Get rid of all the things that are not necessary. Now, a lot of the stuff is up here that's not necessary. And yes, some of that stuff is old tapes or old baggage, old programming that you've programmed in your mind. So get rid of that old programming, wash it away, replace it with something new, and that new programming is a new tape and new things that are more efficient that allow you to actually move forward. And in another setting, if it's your office, get rid of all the waste. Get rid of all of the things that are not essential. All of the things that are holding you back, and you might not think that they're holding you back, but get them out, close the door, clean your space, have a physical environment that's really useful for you, and it will help you heaps. So have the absence of waste as part of your life because you want to live your God-given potential. So efficiency is really important. So doing, and then the next part is like eliminating waste, is actually doing things in sequence that really help you move forward. So you're finding out the best things that you're going to do that are going to help you towards whatever goal it is. If you want to excel at athletics, you're going to be doing whatever is going to help you do the most efficient things. So you're going to get on to a trainer or somebody that's going to help you be efficient with your training. So you're doing the things that you can focus on that are going to help you the most in that way. There's a different type of training for different type of sports. You're going to look at efficiency when you're going to school. You're not going to take all these thousands of different classes and just be scattered. You're going to look at how to be efficient so that you can get your degree, diploma, or whatever you're looking to get. Have excellence as part of your frame of mind and be efficient. The eighth and final key, and this one really is important, guys, ladies and gentlemen, for living your God-given potential is dealing well with people. let's face it, in life we have to deal with people. Whether or not we're a hermit, we still have to deal with people. There's going to be relationships, there's going to be interactions with people, and lots of people live in cities. Lots of people have businesses where service is a massive part of it. I would say that most people, whether or not they actually have a quote-unquote title of being a salesperson, they are in some ways a salesperson, because you're selling yourself, you're selling your time, you're selling a service, you're selling a product of some kind. So what you're doing in life is you're really building relationships. Now, however, what I do find, and what a lot of coaches and successful people find, is that communication is the biggest deterrent for a successful team. Because something goes awry in the communication somewhere down the line, and people gossip, people talk about people behind their back, etc. You need to be able to deal well with people. Another aspect of dealing well with people is to be able to move forward even if you know that other people are going to bring you flack. So even if you're going towards your dream and other people are going to be talking about you, that you have the ability and fortitude to move past that, so that you can challenge that type of thinking, challenge those type of ways, okay? So you need to be able to deal well with people, but not just, cut them off with a big sword, but being able to articulate things and communicate things effectively for people so that they can at least, understand a little ways, or you can at least move past that without causing a massive confrontation. Now, albeit there are times when confrontation is absolutely necessary, so you need to be wise in those ways to be able to look at that and look at how you can deal well with people. So once again, the 8 keys to living your God-given potential are: number 1, live in your sweet spot. Number 2, focus on your potential. Number 3, find out what your strengths are and live in them. Number 4, set goals and take action on your goals. Number 5, have vision and visualize. Number 6, develop success traits. Number 7, efficiency. And of course, efficiency is the absence of waste. Number 8, develop or deal well with people. So I hope that those really help you. We're going to put those steps to effectively live your God-given potential on our webpage underneath this episode, so you can actually read those at a later time as well. So at this time, I'm very excited about introducing to you David Hyatt, and just before I get him on the air here, we're going to just show an abundance coaching video that I'm sure that you'll be inspired by. We'll see you in a second. When you were younger, you dreamed about your life. You believed that you would be able to achieve greatness and that you would become incredible. You were a winner, and you would defend your dream against any challenges. Somewhere, you may have lost some of that winning spirit, and the champion in you may have faded. Your life coach will help you become that champion again. You are not expected to battle through life alone. Making positive changes takes guidance and direction. Your coach will support you and pick you up when you get knocked down. Your coach will stand in your corner and back you when you feel weak. Your coach will inspire you when you need direction and provide you with wisdom that will put your goals back on track. Partner with a champion whose goal is to see you soar to the summit of your dreams. At Abundance Coaching, our goal is to take your great and make it greatness. Hi, I'm Scott F., and I believe that each of us can live awesome lives that are filled with abundance. Abundance is believing that you are more than enough, you have more than enough, and that more than enough is coming to you in the future. Having abundance in life is about allowing yourself to find harmony in every area of your life. Abundance is not a destination. It is a mindset and an awesome way of life, and you can have it too. You will be empowered and encouraged by our life coaching approach. You will get clarity on what you really want out of life, and get what you want faster. We believe that life coaching is about having intentional, purposeful, and powerful conversations that are focused on you moving forward. Together, we will push through the obstacles that block you from reaching your full potential. Do you want to realize an authentic, purposeful, and powerful way of living? Do you need a change? Do you want more abundance in life? Let's start the process that will take your great and make it greatness. All right, welcome back to Abundance Coaching TV, and I am here live with David Hyatt. Welcome, David.
Be here.
All right, that's awesome. Very cool. Hey man, this is just a great opportunity for us to just share and talk a little bit about this awesome topic of living in your God-given potential. So I'm looking forward to just what we're going to share and what we're going to talk about today.
Well, that's wonderful. I've been trying to live this and working with lots of pastors and lay leaders to live it too. Live our potential. Actually fulfill what God wants us to be doing, not just talk about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. And that's one of the things that I was attracted to just in inviting you onto our show, David, is even in your mission statement, you have that in your mission statement, living your God-given potential. So,
right.
Yeah, in a minute we're going to talk a little bit about your story, and we'll talk to the audience here about just why we chose David for this episode. Because I think your story is really powerful as to where you came from and where you're going. And then I'd love to dive in, David, into some of the how-tos of like how to actually live your God-given potential. So you shared a bit of your story yesterday with me as to, you know, just where you came from, what your story is, and your background. Do you want to share a little bit of that with the audience?
Yes. Anyway, my life was good. I really didn't have much hardship, but I was a pastor. Felt the call when I was about 19 years old, went to seminary, became a minister at the age of 25 in 1974 in the Disciples of Christ, Christian Church Disciples of Christ. So really, I felt the calling once I was in college and beyond and decided to pursue ministry. So I came to St. Louis as an associate and was there 6 years and then became a senior minister for 20. Ended up with 2 associates and 3 services. We worshiped only about 300. We tried to keep growing, but in many ways we liked the smaller feel of 3 services and 3 pastors. But I felt the calling when I hit that magical 50-year-old. Maybe you'll get there, Scott. But I really said, what is this all there is? And I think God was calling me beyond the local church. I really had a good job. I was making good money, had a good bit of money going into the pension fund, health insurance, all those good benefits. But I was restless. I really didn't feel like I was fulfilling all that God wanted me to do. And so I really felt I could help others. I felt like I could get out of one church and work with other churches, work with pastors. And so I left that church in 2001 and went to a ministry that was a parachurch, worked with many denominations, depended on donations. And actually, we were doing weekend renewals. I don't know if people remember the old lay witness missions that were done in churches for years back in the 60s, 70s, 80s. And this was what the organization had been founded on. Well, the trouble was, when I went there was 2001, and people really just didn't want to do that much. Churches didn't want to do that much. So actually, it was very hard to get business. It was very hard as an organization to do leadership training was one of our things, strategic planning. We actually had a bookstore. And I just felt, again, very restless. I felt like I was not ordained to sit in an office and chase down pastors to do what they ought to be doing. So in the summer of 2003, Scott, I left that job. And you might say, well, how could you do that at the age of 54 54, 55, you left a good job with no job.
Yeah.
And all I can say is that I was praying, I was discerning, I was not doing what I believed God wanted me to do. And so I have been outside of the local church parameters or boundaries of preaching and being a pastor as a coach consultant for almost 9 years. And, well, really almost 10 years, because it was the summer of '03 when I left the pulpit. And the interesting thing about it was that my first client, my first real coaching client, was a guy that ended up becoming high up in the Methodist Church and has gotten me a great deal of work over about the past 7 or 8 years, and in Missouri, and then we've really worked around the country. So it's really not one of those bad stories, you know, where I turned it all around, but it was a deal where I had it good and had things going well, but I wasn't satisfied. I really felt like I was called to do differently, to have grandiose ideas or grandiose dreams, but I felt like I just wasn't in the right place. And one of my strong beliefs is that when you're really in God's will, there is fruit.
Yeah.
And things go well. You get business, you make a living. You know, my wife and I have done fine. We paid the bills very well. She's a speech therapist. And really, I've had 2 or 3 different job configurations in these 10 years. And
Sure.
The latest one is just kicking off Leadership for Transformation. So it's interesting how doors have opened. I've walked through some of them have closed. But it's fascinating because I really advocate to people, take the risk. If it's not working, if you're beating your head against the wall, if you feel frustrated, if you feel your gifts are not being used, then make a change. And I'm glad to say that I've been able to do it and able to say that God has blessed me. And we are happy. We have 2 wonderful children. One's married and one's getting married this summer. And I'm just a good witness to the fact that you're never too old or too young to really make the changes that I believed really wanted me to make. So
Yeah.
I guess that's a short version, Scott. I hope that's what you were hoping for me to share.
Yeah. Well, you know, for the audience there, I think that it's brilliant just for them to hear where your story came from, because what I'm hearing from you is that you could have kept on going, and a lot of people could have kept on going, you know, just like you, or a lot of people in the audience. Sure. You feel like you could have kept on going, or you could keep on going in what you're doing, but you knew that there was something inside of you that just was churning. It wasn't my God-given potential. If I kept on going in that path, there was something telling you that there was something more. So the responding to that, was that the difficult part? Was that where you know, it sounds like, you know, oh great, he changed careers and everything was good, but was that really a difficult thing to respond to it?
Oh, absolutely it was difficult, because I had been doing the ministry in a church for 20 years. I was in the same church for 20 years. So I was very comfortable, and really, you know, I was about 51 or 2, could have stayed 10, 12 more years easily, or gone to another a bigger church, you know.
Yeah,
because
totally.
when I was getting out of my denomination, I was getting out of an ecumenical group. See, that was the other thing, was that the group that I went with was ecumenical, many denominations. So my denomination actually wasn't too sure what to do with me, because I didn't do the normal kinds of things. You're supposed to get a bigger church.
Yeah.
And I didn't do that. I stepped away in order to help other coach, to be a consultant. That was my calling, to come alongside folks and to help them just so much further. I mean, here we are communicating to Saskatoon, Canada.
That's right.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
You know, who would have
I'll
thought?
just be 1
I
second
coach
there.
a pastor. I coach a pastor in Toronto on a regular basis.
Oh, cool.
We do Skype, and it works pretty well usually. But it's a fascinating story with that church, and we've worked together for 3 or 4 years. But I would not have thought, 10, 15 years ago that my ministry would be extended this far. And again, with the new group that we've got going, we're going to have the capability of working around the world.
Yeah, that's
which,
totally right.
Modern technology, as you know, the modern technology helps us to do that.
For that person that's tried something Yeah, and that's what I've experienced in my life
Yeah.
too. Is that I try an angle. If I would have given up every single time that I tried to do something new, I would never actually succeed at anything. Because it's
Right.
rarely that you actually get excellent at it at something or live up to your potential if you don't continue to get back up and keep on trying and moving forward.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah,
I one time talked with a pastor. I want to share briefly. I've talked with a pastor who actually called me. This was probably 6 years ago, really starting to coach, and said he was very discouraged, ready to quit the ministry. He had been a minister for 25 years. He was discouraged. Nobody would do anything. He just wanted out. And he just wondered if I could help him. And I asked him, I said, well, do you have any vision for your church? He said, well, I think I do. And we talked about that. I said, what if you wrote down your vision and talked about that and looked at that and we talk in another couple of weeks? And he said, okay, I'll try that. Two weeks later, we got back on the phone. He said, it is. I got it. I got it. I mean, literally, he wrote down a vision, got excited. He said, here's something we can do. So then I talked him through a few details because it was his vision. He couldn't just lay it on the people, but it was a transformation. I mean, he was done. He said, I can't do this anymore. But God got hold of him and said, hey, we got more to do here. And because of the coaching relationship, he was able to see and then to transfer that to his people. And again, that's 6 years ago. I follow him on Facebook. He's doing terrifically now. So that's the power of coaching, the power of that relationship with somebody who can help you with the right questions. A simple question: do you have vision? Now, if his answer had been no, we'd have had a tougher situation. We'd have had a tougher situation.
to really get you through that. That's awesome. So here's a question that I've been asking everybody on this series, and as we know, this is season 2 of Abundance Coaching TV, and the topic of this season is having abundance in life. So we talk a lot about living to your God-given potential today, but one question I've been asking all of our guests, and this is a question I think is really important. What are people really looking for in life?
Wow. People are looking for, honestly, to be loved and to love. How about that? To use their abilities, their life meaningfully, make a difference, and to be filled up. I would, I don't know how to say that any other way, but I think life is not a one-way street. People that totally give themselves away are rare,
Yeah.
and there are some that do that. But we need to get filled up. We need love. We need community. We need relationships. We need the love of God, and we need to do something. I hear this more and more. I'd like to make a difference. I'd like to do something to make a difference. Or I went on that mission project, or I did this activity. Felt like I was making a difference. So probably that's the bottom line. I'd like, the old story that from the time I'm born to the time I die, there's a dash in between that. What am I doing during the dash? I do think people are concerned about that, and often people won't say it. Well, they're just getting through life. But when you ask them, they really, I didn't even thought too much, but I think it's to be loved, to love,
Yeah.
and maybe to serve, and even to be served.
Yeah.
People need to be filled up, and we need to be emptied out.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
So there you are.
That's brilliant. That's a great answer. And I've been asking this question to all of our guests, and we'll continue to do that. And at the end,
What
David,
is the other? What's the other saying?
you know what? One of
What
the last person that came on, he has type 1 diabetes, and he came on, and his snap response was they want happiness. And previous to that, I had John Arnott on the show, and his response was about how people were really looking for. I'll have to watch the episode again, but people were really looking for just where are they, who are they, and where are they going in their life, and like
Sure.
really just to have purpose with all of that. And I love what you're talking about too, because you really just like you encompass a lot of what was shared by the past people. And I'm going to
Mhm.
continue to ask that question through the entire series, and I'll produce a video at the very end with the answers and responses. I think it'll be
There you
very
go.
enlightening for people
Yeah.
to actually hear.
Yep. Good. Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you
Yep.
had some interesting
And as
insights
I told you,
when we were on the break there that you were sharing with me. Would you mind
yeah.
sharing that for the audience?
Well, I would say to anybody, you may not be a great football runner, a great skier, or whatever, but what can you do? What is your dream? What is your hope? How could you do something that would make a difference? Because again, we have choices, and many of us think I'd really like to do such and such, but too often we hold back and we just don't go for it. And so I think the question is always, you may not be one of those people on the video, but what could you do? What could you do that would really make a difference? And every one of us has something. It may not be great, it may be small steps, but every one of us has been graced by God to make a difference if we will. If we will.
That's a great question. So I'll just reflect that back. We're coaches, so coaches ask the questions, right? So I'll reflect it back on you just to soak that in. What could you do? What could you do? What?
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great question.
Told you a minute ago, I was talking to a woman pastor who may have to retire like a year earlier than she had expected. So she really wasn't thinking about it. Been doing ministry 20 plus years, wasn't sure what to do. And that was the question. What would you like to do? What could you do? And she was wrestling with it. She didn't feel, she had a lot of identity wrapped up in being a pastor. So when you're no longer a pastor, who are you? You know, Now, the other side of that coin is I have a good friend that retired from a business at 65 and immediately went to volunteer at a hospital. You know what he did? He did preemie babies who were born early need to be held. So he worked in the ICU is what it's called, but it's preemie baby, and he volunteers in hospice.
Oh wow.
Now, how's that for giving your life? He spends a day basically with little bitty babies that are trying to live, and he spends a day, half a day with people that are dying. And that's the way he's spending his retirement. Well, it's one of the ways. Very active otherwise. But isn't that cool? I mean, I'm not sure I would be able to do
That's great.
that.
So
But he
what would
makes
people
clear.
do? We were talking about this on the break. So some people they don't have the athletics to do these like incredible acrobatic moves, right? And it's inspiring to watch that. Like I watch some of that stuff, and even some of the guys like that are twirling their baseball bats and doing these incredible feats that way. Like pretty
Sure.
amazing stuff. Let's face it, some of us like physically don't have all of the abilities to do that, or perhaps we could pursue that. But how do we still live in our God-given potential in spite of maybe our age or just the ability to not perform as well as somebody else?
Yeah.
Or what do you have to even say about that whole topic?
Well, we were talking about the sweet spot. If you think about the sweet spot of hitting a ball, of doing something special, spectacular. I mean, I'm a golfer, and about 1 out of 10 shots, I hit off the sweet spot. It's terrific. The other nine, I'm hitting every which way. But in life, when you really think about it, what are your gifts? What do you like? What gives you fulfillment? What makes a living if you need to make a living? What's about family? I know a friend now that they had to adopt a daughter, and she died at the age of like 23. So here they are, an older couple without kids. Tough life situation. They had hoped to have kids, and they just didn't. But they're still giving themselves to the church. This guy works with men's groups, and he hasn't given it up. But the sweet spot is where you feel that you fit, where you feel like you can be used in a good way. You know, Again, I shared. I think we want to be used. We want to serve, and we want to be served. We want to be loved. So that would be the life sweet spot when you feel like you're you're making a difference, you're doing what you're gifted and can do, you're talented, and there's a comeback. If you're emptied out at the end of the day, it's tough to make it, sleep and then go back and get emptied out. And some people do that. But I think the sweet spot is a little bit better to say, okay, so how are you getting filled up? What is satisfying for you? And often it's giving yourself, but sometimes it's in making a change. Something's not working. That's a simple term, and it needs to be explored in coaching. This isn't just working. This isn't working well. So let's explore it. Let's see what's not working. Some people can make a little shift. They're not volunteering anywhere. Maybe they need to volunteer somewhere. They used to go to church. They got away from it. Maybe they need to go back to church. Sometimes that makes a big difference. That can make a big difference. Other times, people need to make a big change. And that's the tough one when you feel like I'm really going down a dead end. And look at what's going on in the marketplace where people are seeing their jobs cut out. In fact, I was talking to a pastor yesterday, and in their community, a factory is going to be shut down, announced in 3 years. And that is providing like 30% of the income for their community. They're going to be losing 30% of the income. It's a small town. Well, that's huge. That's basic stuff. So they're going to have to do some big time working together. Maybe people have to move. Maybe they have to start up new things. It's going to be tough. And to find that sweet spot in the midst of all of that, there are times that things get to happening around us we can't control. I've always used the philosophy, what can you control? Well, what can you do? What can you manage? And in God's grace, what can you do? And then get onto that. And don't worry too much about what you can't control. Now, granted, you often have to make your choices based on those things you can't control. A business goes out of business, now you got more choices, and that's really tough.
That's right. Yeah.
I would say I've heard some people, some pastors even, different people, sometimes people will leave a business and move into the pastorate, and they'll say, I'm much more fulfilled. This is what I was meant to do. I worked with a guy when I was in seminary, when I was in school, who left business and went to the ministry at age 50 to be a local church pastor. So he went the other way from what I did, basically. But he became a preacher at the age of 50 and lived out his time and retired, but really felt like that was something God had been nagging him to do for years and years. And he said, I think I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Sure.
That's the sweet spot.
There you go. So we're running out of time here, but I do want to make sure that we give you some time to tell us about what you're doing with transfer with your company, and yeah, just share a little bit about what you guys are doing and what you guys look at, what you're looking forward to doing in the future.
Great. And thank you. It's called Leadership 4, number 4 Transformation. The short version is L for T. This is really a combination of 3 of us, Kay Cotan, Ken Willard, and myself, although just recently we have found another person that may become a 4th partner. I guess that makes sense since we're Leadership 4 Transformation. We ought to have 4 partners. But we always felt like, well, the Trinity is a good way to go. I'm just kidding. But what we're working on is helping local church pastors, local church leaders throughout Canada, throughout the United States, throughout the world, really, particularly in 4 areas. Let me mention the 4 areas. There typically are the needs for pastors and lay leaders to learn how to be better leaders. So number 1 is continuous learning. We do that through webinars that are on the web and can be done anywhere. There'll be live webinars, not videoed, but live webinars with one of us as leaders, and we can handle as many as 12 people in each one. We're going to produce 50 of those in a wide range of leadership areas. Ken Willard has been the one that's really run the ball on this. We're excited to get folks coming in. It's like having a class, at your home doing a webinar, and we feel like it's going to move the ball forward on learning how to be better leaders. Secondly, coaching. Kay Cotan is a credentialed coach. I'm a certified coach. Ken and I both are on a track to be more credentialed through ICF, the International Coaching Federation. And we believe that coaching ought to be there all along. We'll always offer coaching to people who take webinars, and we'll coach local church pastors, as you just said, to help them in their lives and in their ministries, and lay persons too. You can hire us just to coach you, or some of the processes you want to help a church with. We'll say, let's have coaching with that too. The third area is the one that's consulting. We learned from a very strong church consultant that you can make the best difference if you get on site and really get into the church and work with the laity and the staff and the pastors on changes. Where can we go? Where does God want us to go? They can do the same thing we're talking about, discern God's will and make the changes it takes to go there. Because most churches don't know what that means, even if we understand the will. How do we do that? What do we do? You know, and so we provide consulting, which has prescriptions, recommendations, what do we need to do, and coaching to go with it. Because we're not going to give a church a proposal and say, good luck. We'll say, here's our proposal. If you put on it, we'll coach you, help you to get there. Excuse me just a minute. So that's the third pillar. And the fourth one is communities online. We want to do support groups. We'll do some information groups. That'll be an opportunity for you to call in at a certain time with 6 or 8 people on a regular basis, 8 weeks. I'd like to do one perhaps working with associate pastors. They have needs, particularly they can't necessarily talk about being an associate pastor with very many people. So those are the 4 pillars: continuous learning, coaching, consulting in the churches, and communities online. And we believe that those are the basics that will help produce transformation in people, leaders, and churches. God provides transformation, but we provide the setting, the atmosphere, the opportunity for God to go to work. And too often, we're doing our thing, and that's not necessarily the way God wants it to work. So we believe through these tools, our experience, we've got a lot to offer to a lot of churches, denominations throughout the country and throughout the world. So that's a short version. I hope that helped. Any questions around what I've said?
Yeah, I love the 4 pillars. I think that those are really important. Continuous learning and looking at the personal and group coaching aspect, because a lot of programs out there, the self-help programs, and you and I both know the stats on those, they're not very successful in the way that people don't follow through with them. So that's where I believe too, and what you could probably adhere to in the audience is a lot of people have picked up self-help books, and really the change doesn't happen. And what you're saying is that you're bringing along coaching along with what you're doing. So I think that that's incredible. And then the on-site consulting and looking through that, and the community aspect online and through group coaching is a great add-on too. So really it's the pillars that are going to hold up any church or any leader in the church.
And we hope as we get to know pastors or lay leaders that we can help them customize something that would be most helpful for them. You can almost start anywhere you want to, but it's really better to start learning how to do church better, how to be missional, how to be a leader today, move into more in-depth coaching with that, do consulting, and follow that through. So we're talking something that could go a couple of years, but we also want to work with a church, because some churches are studying, they're on the path, but they get stuck.
Yeah.
Other churches are backwards and they don't know what to do, and it'll take a little bit longer. So trying to customize, we've got a lot of tools, excuse me, a lot of resources, but we don't have a package. We're not saying here's all you need. In fact, we're trying to say that's not right. We want to say every single church needs different kinds of things, even though they're fundamentals and they're principles that are similar from church to church or denomination to denomination. So that's our hope and our dream and our calling. We really believe God's called us this, and we're excited about it. We've really just launched the 1st of January.
Awesome. Very cool. So, hey, you know what? This is a really awesome conversation. I think that the richness of this conversation will flow through the replay. As you watch these replays, you can watch at any time. And really, there is a God-given potential for you. God has uniquely designed each of us, and I'm sure, David, you
Yep.
agree with me, for greatness. And because He's uniquely designed each of us for greatness, there's something unique for us to do. There's a unique sweet spot for us to live in as leaders, as pastors, as people in science, or whatever background that we have. So watch the replay as many times as you want, but live your sweet spot, live in your God-given potential. You will not regret doing it. If you're feeling the churning right now inside of your belly, saying, hey, what I'm doing is not my God-given potential, I encourage you to find a coach, find David, find me, find anybody, so that you can talk to them about moving forward and just like get some of that stuff out. Because there's something that you're meant to do, and if you're not doing it, you're going to regret at one point in your life. It might not be today, but you're going to regret at one point in your life. You don't want to have a life like that. You want to leave a legacy in your life, and you want to live in your sweet spot. So, David, I'm just going to sign off with this little video here about living your life in the sweet spot. But
come visit us.
What's that?
Come visit us on. Come visit us. www.leadership4transformation.
That's right. Exactly. And yeah, definitely visit David and his team at leadership4transformation.com. And really, David, what's your final remarks about living in your sweet spot before we play this video and sign off?
Well, I just thank you for doing what you're doing, and you're working to be in your sweet spot. I appreciate your heart for people in ministry, and I think that's the challenge. You know, God wants us to do all that we can do, and we need to strive. The Bible says, strive for perfection. We're not going to make it, but let's get on the road. That's all I got to say.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, welcome again to Abundance Coaching TV. We air every Wednesday at 7 o'clock, and you can find us at abundancecoaching.ca/TV, or just go to abundancecoaching.ca and find the TV button. So, once again, I'm Scott Epp. I'm your host. Thank you, David, for joining us. And
thank you, Scott. Appreciate it.
You bet. And live your life with passion. Live with abundance, and figure out what it is that really is you driving in your sweet spot, so that you can all of a sudden just know that you are living your God-given potential. I'll see you again. Hi, my name is Scott Epp, and I'm a certified professional coach with Abundance Coaching. And today I want to talk to you about living your life in the sweet spot. I'm also a coach for a slow pitch team, and in our slow pitch team I have an assistant coach, and this is Lindsay. And I brought Lindsay here today to help me with this analogy. And we're here to talk to you about living your life in the sweet spot, but we'd like to bring that analogy of baseball into it. And Lindsay, what does it mean to hit the ball on the sweet spot?
Well, if you're going to hit the ball, you want to hit it between in a certain area on the bat. If you hit it outside of that, you're not going to get a very good hit, and you get the purest hit and the hardest hit on the sweet spot.
Awesome. Now, Lindsay's a bit of our home run king. He's bailed us out of a couple games with his little home run hit, and we're going to get to witness that in a second here. I'm more of the line drive guy, but hitting the ball on the sweet spot with the line drive is about the same thing. You're just hitting it at more of a balanced, even level. But do you know it when you hit the sweet spot?
It actually feels, when you hit the sweet spot, it actually feels that you don't even hit the ball at all.
Yeah. And how about your swing? You know, some people think you got to get up there. You just got to pound the ball. You got to swing as hard as you can. What do you have to say about that?
Well, basically, that does work, but you just have to let the bat work for you.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. All right, well, we're going to take this out on the ball field and show this analogy off. Sweet spot. So what does it mean to live your life in the sweet spot? It's a good question, isn't it? Well, to me, living your life in the sweet spot means that you're doing exactly what you were designed to do. You may know what it's like to not live your life in the sweet spot, but wouldn't it be awesome to know that you were living your life in the sweet spot? I believe that each of us is designed for greatness. Living life in the sweet spot means that you're doing exactly what you were designed to do. My challenge for you today is to take a piece of paper, stop whatever's going on in your life for at least a few minutes today, and write down what drives you, what motivates you, and what brings you passion. And then try to incorporate more of what drives you, what motivates you, and what brings you passion in your life today. If you want to know more, just contact me at abundancecoaching.ca or .com. Have a great day, have abundance in life, and you can live your life in the sweet spot.